This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the CEO and the largest shareholder of Kingsmen Resources, once again announcing a new silver gold discovery. It's Mr. Scott Emerson. Scott, I feel like we're going to have a very similar conversation to the one we had last week, except this is in a different area with wider widths and dare I say better grades here on some of the mineralization. Congratulations again. How are you today?
Thank you. Very well. Thanks, Gerardo. And thanks for having me on as we deliver these results. So I appreciate it.
Well, listen, you hit, and I want to just provide the context on the numbers. It was 3.15 meters grading 241 grams per ton silver equivalent. That included a 1.15 meter intercept of 525 grams per ton silver equivalent. That also had a gold kicker, 0.185 grams per ton gold. Got to say the same thing I said last week. This mineralization starts from relatively shallow depths, especially for what's the norm in the Parral belt, right? It starts from 70 meters. And I think that's a point that's important to emphasize to the audience. Look, I want you to provide the context on that hole. And just like last week, I'm going to play devil's advocate and ask you about the other two holes, because I've gotten two types of responses. One, similar to the initial response to last week's release, was, man, but they missed on the other two holes. I spoke to a geo friend, and his response was, I am really intrigued by what's at the bottom of that hole where they may have a gold target at depth. So with all that said, you give me the context on the hole that hit, and then let's talk about the holes that some people think missed.
Okay, so to put it in perspective for your listeners, again, I always keep this simple, Gerardo, in the sense that if you drew a straight line and pretend that's a vein slash structure, it's going to be not a perfect straight line, obviously, but take it as a straight line and think that we mapped that and traced that structure for over 780 meters. And what we did is we took the surface samples that we had that, generated big numbers. Again, 200, 300 grams to 600 grams a ton on surface. And we went in the middle of that 750 meters and we poked a hole. And that's this discovery hole that we did. So again, if you think about the entire property package, that's what we've been doing. We've been testing on these structures. And again, here we have, extremely good mineralization. And think of it as Kingsman drilling right smack dab in the middle. So if you read the release, you'll see we say that the extension is 300 meters. That 300 meters is in the northwest direction. Then in the other direction, it's open for another 500 meters. So in total, we've got over 700 meters of strike length that we've drilled one hole on. So obviously, this year we're going to be diligently working and plugging more holes in there. So I hope that gives you some perspective as to, why we're so excited about the program and the program to come, is because while I'd like to say, oh, we expected something to be there, we didn't know. And that's why I call it a new discovery hole. And I think we said this in the last interview. Every hole on this project is a new discovery hole because it's never been drilled.
Well, having that kind of scale has to be exciting. And not to cut you off, Scott, but I want to emphasize this point as well. Having that kind of scale that you just described and sticking one hole into it or a couple of holes into it and getting, the kind of mineralization that you've got, I have to believe that you weren't just lucky enough to hit, the best grades and widths on that hole, right? The likelihood of that is next to nil.
No, the likelihood of that is yeah. No. So that gave us confidence because, again, grade and scale is what it's about. And you think about the previous hole where I said it was a step-out hole, 1.5 kilometers away from our hole number 10. So that's why I try to put it now into a rectangle box. And I think I talked about this last time. A mile wide by, say, 2 miles long, and think of it as a rectangle box. Everything we've drilled has been a hit within that system. So, that's why I'm pretty ecstatic about what's to come. Like, what else are we going to see? And to your point, this hit was at 70 meters deep. It's shallow in comparison to the operating mines that surround us. And we talk about that because we say, what's your exit strategy? But we're shallow. And that is surprising to us. We expected the mineralization to be, deeper, even though we only drilled these holes on average of 150 meters deep. So we don't know what's lurking below, but we do know whenever we've hit something in the deeper part of the system, it's gotten better.
Let's talk about the other holes, the holes that didn't have that type of mineralization, but obviously had. And to your point about drilling shallow holes, I'm going to ask you in a second about a future exploration approach. And I know that you and your team are gathered around a table figuring that out as we speak. But the other two holes, explain the context on those holes.
So those holes were drilled angle holes, and they did not miss. What they hit is they hit gold mineralization, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was like 0.6 or 0.7 over a half a meter, 0.19. But when you look at the cross sections of those holes, you can see the analogy between where we're hitting this gold intersection and where we've hit the higher up mineralization. You can follow that straight down. If not straight down, but if you created an angle, you can follow that, Gerardo, to say what's happening deeper. Because something in the system is pushed up the gold, something in the system is pushed up the silver. Our next step in the drilling that's going to be coming up is what's deeper. Is there a gold target deeper down, or is it a silver target? Is it a gold silver target? We don't know. So hopefully that answered your questions. Like I say, they're not misses. They hit something. They didn't come up with zero. They all had mineralization, or the two that you're talking about had mineralization. Although it was narrow, there's a good indication that it contains all the right minerals to say something's going on in that system. So hopefully that's answered your question.
No, absolutely. Listen, I know that you raised some money here. That's gone well for the group that raised it. It's been a double here in less than the last month or so. So congrats there. I'm a happy shareholder. We've been at it since the beginning, but you're cashed up. You have two districts. You have $4,600 gold. You have $92 silver. I know the discussions are preliminary in nature, but I will tell you, me as a biased shareholder, I hope to see an urgency to get drills on the ground and the drill bit turning to really start discovering on some of these holes and structures what's at depth, and then on the structures that have been mapped out for kilometers on end, what that looks like, and start putting at least the back of the napkin calculation to what potentially we have, right?
Right. And I think, you've hit the nail on the head in the sense that is currently what the team is doing. We're putting together, what our next 9 months is going to look like in terms of drilling. Where are we going to put the first, drill hole? What are we doing? That's all, we're going as fast as we can. And I think, to your point with $92 silver and gold, you're getting a lot of attention focused on us, and we know that, and we're doing the best we can to be diligent, number one, because I think that about me, Gerardo, and the team. We're very diligent. We're just not going to run out there and start poking holes all over. We'll have a plan and a strategy to do that, and hopefully that drilling not only will take place momentarily or in the short term. I think it'll carry throughout the full year. So you and your listeners and the supportive shareholders are going to see continuous news.
I can't wait. I should note that there's assays pending. I am looking forward to those assays. I am also looking forward to getting a better idea of the plan as it relates to both Las Coloradas, which clearly I'm excited about, but equally excited about Almaloya, which I know has had extensive historic work. That's not a cheat sheet, but a little bit like a cheat sheet, because you have a good idea of some of the widths and some of the grades that have existed there in the past, at the very least, where prior operators have drilled. I can't wait to hear the plan there and get the audience more familiar with that district, because again, it's 2 districts, silver, gold, gold, silver, $4,700 gold, $92 silver, and neither of those look like they're slowing down anytime soon. So, Scott, it should be a transformative 2026. I'm looking forward to having you back on for the other assays and for an exploration update.
And I thank you and your listeners and the shareholders, so for supporting us through this journey. And I always, it's come, Gerardo, where the importance is having a strong shareholder base, which with your help we've created that. And it's going to be an exciting 2026.
I would be remiss not to give a salute and a shout out to Mr. Jeff Phillips, a mutual friend of ours, a shareholder, and someone that's been instrumental in yelling from the rooftops how important share structure is. We've seen Kingsmen go from 11 cents to 22 cents to 25 cents to 50 to $1 to $1.35. And a month later, now we're sitting at $2.75, just shy of $3. So large credit due to that share structure. So congrats to him. Congrats to you. Congrats to all of us that have waited this out for a bit. I think it's going to be a fun 2026.
Yeah, and to that point, Gerardo, because now you've got me, thinking about that.
Yeah.
We have 29 million shares outstanding, and for any junior company, the most important thing is your cost of capital, and we've managed to maintain, a strong shareholder base with little dilution, and hopefully, if the drill bit delivers, and I always say the drill bit is what delivers value. We got a lot of room.
Couldn't agree more. Scott, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gerardo. Bye-bye.
Right. Chat soon. Cheers. Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.